0542 local time. Multiple inbound contacts bearing 060, range 18 miles and closing. There is no introduction, no warning shot, just raw data glowing on the glass and a sharp tone in the headset that turns every face inside the Combat Information Center toward the main display. 48 contacts. They are low, fast, and layered. 12 are holding at 300 feet. 36 are skimming at just 30 feet, barely above the wave tops, using the Earth's curvature and sea clutter as cover. The spy array sees them, but the picture is messy. Green returns flash in and out against the whitecaps. Then the system settles. Tracks lock in. Speed holds steady. Bearing stays true. 8 minutes to the engagement window. The tactical action officer never raises his voice. He does not need to. Classification is already clear. Unmanned targets, size and speed consistent with one-way attack drones. The air search controller checks a second feed from high overhead. At 25,000 feet, an E-2D Hawkeye circles wide, its APY-9 radar, sweeping beyond the horizon and mapping the battle space in layers. Hawkeye confirms all 48. 2 groups, primary from the northeast, secondary from the east. Now the numbers are real, 48 inbound. A destroyer may carry 96 vertical launch cells, but not all of them are loaded for air defense. Some are reserved for SM-3s for ballistic threats. Some hold SM-6s. Some carry Tomahawks for strike missions. The available air defense loadout at this moment is limited. It always is. Time to 15 nautical miles, 5 minutes. Inside CIC, someone runs the math without thinking. 48 drones moving at roughly 180 kilometers per hour. Inexpensive airframes, pre-programmed by GPS, no evasive behavior, no onboard decision-making, only coordinates and fuel. But 48 warheads still mean 48 opportunities for one to break through. The TAO studies the inventory column on his console. SM-2 available, 42. RAM, 18. Phalanx mounts, standing by. He picks up the handset. Hold missiles. The words stay in the air for a second. Then again, hold missiles. Conventional weapons only if required. Stand by. On the forward deck, between the vertical launch system and the bridge, a flat panel array shifts almost imperceptibly toward bearing 060. It has no barrel, no spinning dish, nothing dramatic about its outline. To an untrained eye, it could pass for just another antenna among the many fixed to the superstructure. Weapon system online. The Surface Warfare Coordinator reports 0546, range 15 kilometers. The lead group of 12 drones drops slightly lower, tightening its profile. The sea skimmers ride the troughs. On radar, they flicker like fireflies inside a storm of clutter. The Hawkeye call remains calm. All contacts steady, no maneuver. The TAO gives a single nod. Authorize. No missile launches, no plume tears into the sky. Instead, the flat panel draws power from the same shipboard generators that feed the radar, the lighting, and the climate systems inside CIC. 054712. 17 contacts in the eastern arc vanish from the Aegis display. They do not burst apart. They do not leave dramatic flashes. They simply drop off the screen. Track symbols blink once, then disappear. Radar returns fade into static. Lost track 17. The watch team checks secondary sensors. Multiple surface splash confirmations. No one celebrates. There is no time. 31 remain. Reacquire sector. Pulse ready. 6 seconds. That is the recharge cycle. 6 seconds for the capacitors to rebuild. 6 seconds for power to flow through thousands of gallium nitride semiconductor elements, combining into a focused beam invisible to the naked eye. 054721. Fire! Another silent release. 22 more tracks blink out at once. Airframes built to survive wind and rain suddenly lose the one thing keeping them in the air: working electronics. GPS modules overload, control boards burn out. Motors keep turning for a split second, then the noses tip forward. 22 drones fall into the Gulf. 9 contacts remain. They are moving along the outer edge of the engagement cone, just beyond the point of best energy density. CIWS, engage. On deck, the phalanx mounts spool up with the rising mechanical whine every sailor recognizes instantly. The M61A1 rotary cannon sends tungsten downrange at 4,500 rounds per minute. 4 drones are torn apart in 11 seconds. Debris falls into open water. Ram away. 2 missiles streak out. Infrared seekers lock onto the last 5 heat signatures. 5 launches were possible. Only 2 are necessary. The final 5 drones come apart in midair. 48 inbound, 48 down. Missiles used, 0. SM-2 inventory, untouched. High above, an enemy surveillance drone circles at 12,000 feet, sending every detail back to shore. It was supposed to witness American interceptors burning through a limited stockpile. It was supposed to capture smoke trails and costly answers to low-cost threats. Instead, it sees almost nothing. Closer to the coast, 3 launch sites activate at the same time. Fresh heat signatures appear on the Hawkeye's scope. Multiple launches. Count 115. Correction, 120. This time, the TAO does not pause. All stations prepare for saturation. The flat panel array shifts again, turning toward the new threat axis. The first wave was only a test. This is the real pressure point. 0602 local time, 120 airborne. Multiple bearings, northeast and east primary. Additional low-level contacts forming near the coastline. The numbers update in real time, stacking across the Aegis display until the screen feels crowded. 47 from the northeast, 38 from the east, 35 lifting low, hugging the shoreline before turning seaward. The pattern is no accident. Staggered altitude, staggered timing. A layout built to force overlapping engagement windows. Time to impact, 18 minutes. Inside CIC, no one wastes time saying what everyone already knows. This is saturation doctrine in its purest form. It is built on simple math. Make the defender spend more than the attacker. Drain the launch cells. Wait for the opening. The tactical action officer studies the geometry. Assign continuous pulse scheduling. Sector 1, northeast. On the forward deck, the flat panel array slews a few degrees. The movement is almost invisible, measured in tiny corrections. Range 18 kilometers. The first formation tightens into a 25-degree arc. 41 drones in close spacing. Altitude steady at 300 feet. Hawkeye confirms clean track. No maneuver. Engage. The pulse is silent. No flash, no visible beam. On the CIC display, 41 track symbols vanish almost at once. 41 lost. Surface search radar confirms splash signatures. A scattered line of debris marks the water where the formation had been only seconds earlier. 6-second recharge. Capacitors refill. Cooling pumps surge. The destroyer's generators absorb the load without even a flicker in the ship's lighting. Sector 2, east. 38 drones cross into the cone. Fire. Another invisible discharge. 38 contacts disappear. No missile trails. No visible intercepts. Just sudden absence. 79 down. The third group is different. 35 sea skimmers at 30 feet, riding the wave tops. Their returns smear into sea clutter. Tracks flicker. Speewise struggles to keep them separated. Hawkeye still sees them clearly. From 25,000 feet, the airborne radar feeds precise targeting data through cooperative engagement capability, sending a clean picture straight into the combat system. Sector 3, depress angle. The array tilts slightly, adjusting for the low-altitude geometry. Pulse. 35 more tracks collapse at once. Total firing time across 3 sectors, 18 seconds, 114 drones down. Not a single vertical launch cell has opened. The watch team exhales, but only halfway. 6 contacts unaccounted for, the air controller says. Possible terrain masking, low level near merchant traffic. On the surface display, a tanker appears at 11 kilometers, pushing northbound. Its mass forces the air currents upward. Seconds later, 2 faint returns rise above the tanker's superstructure. Contact regained. 2 pulses. 2 more disappear. 4 remain. They are fast enough and low enough that the edge of the engagement cone only catches them partially. Energy density is no longer ideal. CIWS standby. The Phalanx mounts pivot, tracking what looks like empty ocean until radar finally resolves movement against the waves. Contact bearing 085, range 3.2. The rotary cannons open up. 4-second burst. 1 drone breaks apart. Second burst. Another falls. 2 remaining. Range 2.8. Ram engage. 2 RIM 116 missiles launch. White trails briefly cutting across the blue sky. Both hits are clean. 120 inbound. 120 down. Missiles used. 2 Ram. SM-2 inventory, untouched. On a monitor linked to electronic surveillance, an Iranian Mohajer-class drone keeps circling at 12,000 feet, streaming a live picture back to shore. For the first 79 takedowns, it sees no interceptors at all, only 2 brief missile trails at the very end. At a coastal ground station, operators move rapidly through telemetry channels. 120 feeds go dark in less than a minute. No fireballs, no visible intercept paths. Only static. They have their answer, even if they do not fully understand it yet. Back at sea, the TAO lowers the handset with deliberate calm. Thermal status. Core temperature elevated, still within margin, cooling stable. Meteor's heat exchangers drive seawater through tight channels, bleeding off the heat left behind by sustained pulses. Then another call comes in. New launches, count 80, 4 bearings plus surface contacts leaving harbor. Fast movers. The large screen refreshes again. 80 new drones rise from 4 coastal sites. 6 small surface combatants accelerate south at more than 50 knots. This time, the geometry is more complicated. Air and surface tracks are now unfolding at once, crossing the same battle space on different clocks. Time to drone impact, 44 minutes. Time to small boat missile range, 23. The TAO does not hesitate. Maintain Meteor at ready. Assign Romeo to surface sector outside active cone. Begin full battle space scheduling. The flat panel array shifts again, aligning for another cycle. The first wave was a probe. The second was saturation. The third is coordination. And somewhere ashore, someone believes the numbers are finally about to turn in their favor. 0620 local time. 2 ballistic launches detected, bearing 340. Boost phase confirmed. The voice stays steady, but every eye in the Combat Information Center moves to the upper corner of the display, where 2 new tracks are climbing fast, far faster than drones. Terminal profile, anti-ship ballistic threat. At the same moment, 80 more drone contacts spread across 4 bearings. Surface radar confirms 6 fast attack craft driving south at 50+ knots. Hulls hammering through open water. 3 timelines, 1 battle space. 90 seconds to ballistic intercept window, the Air Defense Coordinator calls. The Tactical Action Officer answers immediately. SM-2 Block 3, 4 birds launch. The forward deck erupts. 4 missiles punch out of the vertical launch cells in staggered sequence. White plumes driving upward before curving toward the upper atmosphere. Inside CIC, geometry becomes survival. Meteor is already facing northeast, covering the drone approach lanes. But a microwave pulse does not distinguish between friend and foe. It can disrupt friendly guidance just as easily as hostile electronics. Interceptor transit through sector in 4 seconds, the system warns. Meteor cease northeast. Shift south and east. The flat panel slews away. The invisible cone pulls back from the flight path of the outgoing SM-2s. For 11 seconds, the northeastern arc goes dark. That is the opening saturation doctrine is built to exploit. 22 drones from the 80 contact wave push through the corridor, gliding on pre-programmed GPS. Blackout northeast, contacts closing. High above, the 2 ballistic vehicles separate and begin terminal descent, their electro-optical seekers refining aim. SM-2S on final. On the display, friendly and hostile paths race toward each other at 30 kilometers altitude. Then 2 flashes appear, clean intercepts. Fragments arc harmlessly downrange. Ballistic threats neutralized. Reopen northeast sector. Meteor swings back. Capacitors charged. Pulse. The 22 drones that slipped through the blackout vanish mid-track. No smoke, no dramatic bloom, just sudden silence on the scope. Meanwhile, the 6 fast attack craft continue closing from the south, wakes carving white scars across the water. Romeo airborne, bearing 180 40 kilometers, an MH-60R. Seahawk skims low over the surface, deliberately positioned outside every active microwave arc. Sector scheduling keeps friendly aircraft clear of the beam. Hellfire armed. The helicopter's sensors lock onto the lead boat. A missile streaks outward. Impact. The hull splits apart. Fuel catches. Then another strike. Then another. Then another. 6 Hellfires in less than 8 minutes. 6 fast attack craft turned into drifting debris before any of them can get close enough to launch anti-ship missiles. Back in the air picture, the remaining 58 drones from the 80 target wave fan out across several bearings. Continuous pulse sequence. The TAO orders. Sector east. Fire. 21 gone. 6-second recharge. Sector southeast. Fire. 18 more fall. 6 seconds. Sector northeast. Clear of friendly interceptors. Fire. 19 more drop out of the sky. Total engagement time. Under 30 seconds of actual emission. 80 drones reduced to wreckage. Enemy electronic warfare stations begin throwing noise across multiple frequencies, trying to jam radar and break coordination. Hawkeye reports the interference is ineffective at altitude. The feed stays clean. Meteor is not waiting for commands over the air. It is simply transmitting energy. There is nothing for them to jam. Then the final escalation begins. Additional launches detected. Count 6. Multiple coastal sites activate again. 60 more drones lift at once, staggered in timing to complicate the ship's thermal cycle. Meteor responds immediately. Pulse 1, 53 disappear in rapid succession. But sustained firing in the Gulf heat pushes the cooling system near its limit. Core temperature approaching ceiling. Time to mandatory cooldown. 90 seconds. 7 drones remain airborne. They are spaced deliberately, riding the outer edges of the previous engagement pattern. Recharge required. For the first time since 0547, the directed energy weapon goes offline. Range 11 kilometers. Speed 185 kilometers per hour. CIWS ready. 3 drones enter the inner engagement envelope. The Phalanx mounts roar back to life, throwing tungsten into the air at 4 kilometers. 3 down. 2 more at 6 kilometers. Ram engage. 2 interceptors launch. Both connect cleanly. 2 drones remain, closing at 5 kilometers. Then the cooling cycle completes. System green, the flat panel snaps back to bearing 075. Final pulse. The last two tracks blink out at 9 kilometers, dropping into the Gulf without flame. Across the battle space, 2 ballistic missiles intercepted, 6 fast attack craft destroyed, 228 drones eliminated. SM-2 expenditure, 4. RAM expenditure, 4. Hellfire expenditure, 6. Everything else was handled by a weapon drawing power from the same generators that run the ship's air conditioning. High above, the Hawkeye keeps circling, its radar now mapping more than incoming threats. It is also tracking every coastal launch door that opened, every mobile launcher that rolled out from concealment, every radar that dared to transmit. On shore, telemetry feeds have gone dark in waves. Something has broken the old model, and the strike group's magazines are still largely full. 0638 local time. Satellite confirmation shows more activity along the coast. Blast doors opening, mobile launchers relocating. The air picture is finally clean. No inbound tracks, no flashing symbols pressing toward the center of the screen. But the fight is not finished. While Meteor was firing across sectors, while interceptors climbed, and while helicopters hunted fast boats, something else had been happening at 25,000 feet. Hawkeye had been building geolocation packages. Multiple fixed sites appear on the large display. Small red diamonds light up along the coastline. Precise coordinates derived from radar emissions, infrared signatures, and the brief thermal bloom of drone launch rails. Every site that activated, every radar that transmitted, every transporter erector launcher that drove out from concealment into firing position. They exposed themselves. Accuracy within 3 meters, the air controller confirms. The tactical action officer studies the grid overlay. Push data to the strike group. Across the formation, encrypted bursts send targeting packages from ship to ship. Destroyers update Tomahawk mission planning consoles. The carrier air wing begins shaping strike routes. No one raises their voice. There is no celebration in CIC, only quiet recalculation. Coastal radar begins emitting intermittently, trying to rebuild the picture. They are still trying to understand what happened. For nearly an hour, operators ashore watch drone telemetry vanish in clusters. No obvious missile exhaust, no interceptor trails, no large visible blasts to explain the losses. Now their coastal sensors flicker on and off, searching for answers. Each new emission gives away another position. Additional radar sites are tagged. The Hawkeye continues orbiting above the jamming layer, beyond reach, feeding a steady stream of clean data through cooperative engagement capability. And the strike group's magazines remain, for the most part, untouched. SM-2 inventory is down by 4, RAM is down by 4, Hellfire is down by 6. The vertical launch cells reserved for offensive strikes remain untouched. The doctrine built around draining those cells has failed. Recommend readiness for follow-on strike, the operations officer says. The TAO gives a single nod. Stand by for tasking. On the carrier's flight deck, yellow shirts move with focused urgency. FA-18S are powered up. Ordnance crews finish the loadouts. Target coordinates are fed straight into mission computers before the engines even begin to spool. There is no need for a wide area search, no need for guesswork. The drones, the ballistic launchers, the fast attack craft, every activation has exposed another node in a coastal network built over years. Launch rails that opened for only seconds are now pinned on the map. Mobile launchers that rolled into the open left thermal traces and track marks. Command relays that transmitted targeting data revealed both their frequencies and their positions. They did not just spend drones, they exposed the structure behind them. Tomahawk programming is complete on 2 ships. Inside CIC, a secondary display shows projected flight paths bending low over the terrain, designed to strike hardened shelters identified less than 30 minutes earlier. The TAO checks the air picture one more time. Clear. Sea state moderate. Visibility unrestricted. The same calm water that swallowed nearly 300 drones now reflects a carrier strike group that never came close to exhausting its defenses. High-powered microwave pulses handled most of the threat. Conventional weapons were used only where a kinetic intercept was necessary. The magazine math never tipped. Strike Group Command authorizes pre-planned options. Execute on order. There is no dramatic countdown, no raised voices, only confirmation loops and authentication codes. Across the formation, systems align. Onshore, operators are still working through static, trying to understand why hundreds of GPS-guided warheads dropped from the sky without warning. They do not yet realize that every launch door they opened was measured. Every radar sweep they transmitted was triangulated. Every attempt to blind the strike group only made the map clearer. The clock moves forward quietly. In less than 80 minutes, a doctrine built on overwhelming numbers has collided with something it was never designed to solve. a weapon that does not deplete ammunition in the expected way, a network that coordinates missiles, helicopters, and microwave pulses in milliseconds, and a strike group that absorbed 3 combined arms waves without giving up its offensive reach. The tactical action officer finally lowers the handset. Maintain condition. Await further tasking. Outside, the flat panel array sits motionless in the morning light, easy to mistake for any other antenna. But every coastal site that activated this morning is now stored as a coordinate, and the next launch from this deck will not be defensive. 0706 local time. Strike authorization received. There is no pause for debate. The targeting packages have been refined for nearly 30 minutes. Launch sites are confirmed. Mobile launchers have been tracked from shelter to firing position and back again. Coastal radar nodes have been cataloged down to frequency and pulse pattern. The battle space is quiet now. Too quiet. Tomahawk stations manned and ready. On the destroyer's forward deck, the vertical launch cells remain sealed, indistinguishable from one another. No smoke, no spectacle. Just steel covers over stored velocity. Execute! A muted OODA runs through the hull as the first Tomahawk launches skyward, its booster igniting moments after it clears the cell. Almost immediately it pitches low, leveling into terrain following flight. Second missile. Third, on 2 separate ships, more launches follow in staggered rhythm, each one assigned to a different node along the coastline. From CIC, there is no direct view of the flight, only telemetry streams confirming guidance updates and steady fuel flow. Missiles and crews, all birds nominal. High above, the E-2D Hawkeye widens its orbit and keeps watch. Its radar is no longer tracking inbound threats. Now it is watching for any response. None comes. Impact 1. A small flash appears on infrared feed from a distant sensor platform. A hardened drone storage shelter near the shoreline collapses inward as a Tomahawk penetrates and detonates. Impact 2. A mobile launcher, caught while moving back toward concealment, erupts in a chain of secondary blasts. Impact 3. A coastal radar site goes silent. One by one, the red diamonds that marked active nodes on the coastal grid disappear. No follow-on launches rise from those positions. No new telemetry feeds come alive. The network that launched nearly 300 drones that morning begins to collapse section by section. Back aboard the destroyer, the tactical action officer studies the updated map. Battle damage assessment. Multiple hits confirmed. Secondary detonations observed at 3 sites. Radar emissions have stopped at 2 additional nodes. The carrier's flight deck is still active, but the aircraft remain on standby rather than launching. There is no need for a large airstrike. Precision has already redrawn the coastline. Surface picture clear. No fast movers. The Gulf settles back into its normal rhythm. Merchant traffic, distant patrol craft, heat shimmer rising from steel decks. Meteor remains powered but idle. Cooling systems are stable. Core temperatures are back to normal. It did not fire a missile. It left no visible signature. And it never came close to running dry. The math that saturation doctrine depends on never appeared. Vertical launch cells remain mostly full. Offensive capacity is intact. Inventory update, the weapons officer reports. SM-2-4, Ram-4, Hellfire-6, Tomahawk-8. Against 300 drones, 2 ballistic missiles, and 6 fast attack craft, the real difference between depletion and dominance is measured by what did not have to be spent. On shore, surveillance cameras capture smoke rising from former launch sites. Command relays that transmitted targeting data earlier are now silent. Antennas are twisted, scorched, or simply dark. Operators who watch drone feeds disappear in clusters are left with a different picture now. Static over positions they once believed were hidden. The Hawkeye makes another orbit, confirming the absence of new emissions. No additional launches detected. Inside CIC, the watch team shifts from active engagement to guarded readiness. Coffee cups are finally lifted from consoles, where they have sat untouched since 0542. The tactical action officer glances once at the flat panel array visible through the forward camera feed. It is still plain, almost forgettable. But it changed the equation. They built a strategy around draining magazines. They assumed every incoming drone would demand an outgoing missile. They assumed sheer volume would eventually crack steel. Instead, they met a system that turns fuel into ammunition, a network that schedules sectors in milliseconds, and a weapon that removes targets without leaving smoke behind to examine. Strike group status, fully mission capable. No damage, no exhausted defenses, no exposed gap. The ocean carries fragments of composite airframes and broken hulls, and the waves roll over them without ceremony. The final log entry for the engagement is brief. 300 drones. 2 ballistic missiles, 6 fast attack craft, all neutralized, missile reserves preserved, coastal network degraded. The clock keeps moving. The carrier strike group resumes its patrol course at steady speed, its hull cutting through calm water as though nothing had happened. But somewhere along the shoreline, planners are doing the math again. Because what launched from that deck this morning was not supposed to change the balance this dramatically. Now they know it is real.